what is happening in Europe. Europe
Mhm.
is experiencing something so tough, so serious that they have not experienced before. That is the reality of power politics, the reality of what the United States is playing right now. What is your understanding of Europe today? And are they getting to the point to change their policies, or they want to double down on what they have been doing and they have been failing, to be honest?
Well, it's a good question actually. But they want to double down, despite the fact that they suddenly start, sending those messages that, oh yeah, we need to talk to Moscow and things like that. The problem is to double down with something. You have to have something to double down it with. And it doesn't. Europe doesn't have anything in terms of militarily. It's pathetic, and it's totally dependent on the United States. Not that the United States is much better. We also saw basically the military aspect of this situation unfolding in Ukraine, and now, of course, United States is forced to do what it's doing, despite the fact that very many people will attribute it to Trump only. It's not just Trump only. It's basically generally consensus, foreign policy consensus, because United States, in order to avoid the bankruptcy and insolvency, has to, and to do something, grandiose, like, get Greenland or something like that. Vladimir Putin yesterday, obviously, he trolled it beautifully. Many people probably wouldn't even understand how he was trolling it, but it was, I was laughing. I mean, so, but the point is that Europe is done as the geopolitical entity. I've been talking about it for second decade now, that they are object, they're not a subject of the international relations. And now it's time for them to start, basically going for the jugular of each other. That's France, Germany, what have you. Let them do it. And if it comes down to, in the end, to killing each other, they might as well do it, that, because that's what they have been doing successfully for very many centuries. Okay, so in this case, it's basically we looking at the, well, I would use Churchill. It's not the beginning of the end, but it's the end of the beginning, essentially. That, yeah, that's the new world. Europe is irrelevant in this case, because the only thing which matters is the real economy and the real military industrial might. And as much as we are sad to say, and Russian diplomats speak about it nonstop, that, yeah, the international law and things of this nature, we are in the world of power politics. And some people say it might is right. Well, you have to have actual real might. But the United States has definitely the, dominion over these Europeans who are cowardly and corrupt, utterly corrupt. And so that's the end of the West as we know it. So, and I've been talking about it for many years, and here it is. That's in front of us, and yeah, that's it's not Trump's narcissism notwithstanding, but as I already stated, United States, Trump in many respects represents very many people in the United States, and this is how United States is Europe.
Yeah. Do you believe, Andre, what Donald Trump is doing, considering the big picture? What is happening in his mind? What is the strategy? Is there something to be called strategy? Is that something, the strategy of chaos? Is that, because whatever is happening, all these fronts, considering all these fronts from Venezuela, South America, coming to Ukraine, and then to the West Asia, you see some sort of chaos, but there may be some sort of, you know, objectives that the Trump administration is seeking. But after all, considering all together, do you think they're going to achieve what they have in their mind?
Oh, they achieved something in Venezuela in the sense that Venezuela is now totally subjugated, and all this nonsensical talk about that. Oh, yeah, somebody will come and change something in Venezuela. Russians have been wrapping up the business actually in Venezuela for the last 5 years. For those people who do not know, the Russian presence there is minimal, and they try to help Maduro at some point of time. But you saw yourself that, well, yeah, the new power, they just communicate just lovely with Trump administration. So Venezuela is a goner. Nothing could be done about it because they just surrendered. And the fact that they show some demonstrations there, yeah, they can demonstrate whatever the hell they want. I mean, nothing gonna change. But that's the other thing. Venezuela is not that critical, although evidently it hits China in some sense. But reality is the big thing is obviously not Venezuela. It's the Greenland. And Greenland is big, not in the sense of military, or there is a serious military aspect to all that, especially considering the fact that United States has been present militarily in Greenland for many decades, and even during the World War II, and it's nothing new. They need the possession of Venezuela for a simple reason. It doubles essentially, well, not doubles, it's about 80% of the present ownership of the United States of the Arctic shelf, and that, well, almost doubles it, and that's a lot of riches. But obviously, as you correctly stated, there are some people, naive people, who constantly go around talk about like, oh yeah, organized chaos. United States doesn't have a strategy of organized chaos. Well, the reason it does have it. The problem is it never is capable to control this chaos. For some reason, they sell this garbage like some kind of the omnipotence of the United States. It's not. It's militarily. It's a paper tiger, and it still can obviously much stronger than Europe, and it can, what if it comes down to Greenland, United States can easily do the military. Yeah, there is a population of 57,000 of native people and about one company of, well, Denmark says it will send 1,000 people. Okay, whatever, I think US Marines will have, a fun time dealing with that. But the point is that United States needs something which can preserve it as the, in a sense, entity, military, economical, political entity in the essentially the yeah, people call it Monroe Doctrine 2.0. Well, maybe, but yeah, Western Hemisphere, they think that's their part, their ownership of this hemisphere. And yes, in Western Hemisphere, United States is strongest economically and militarily power, and nothing could be changed about it. And we have to also say, and I know for many people it will be very unpleasant to hear, but Latin America is not getting underneath from the United States because evidently the Venezuela is one of the exhibit A. You can do it pretty much anywhere there in Latin America. You can buy out elites. And fact is, as most of the Latin American politicians, they have to go out, and especially military, with the price tag. So just they have the price tag. That's how much I worth. Just buy me, and that's what it is. It's just the way things are. But obviously, the other part of the world, that's a whole other story. United States controls realistically nothing there. And you're in Tehran, in Iran now. The skies over Tehran are buzzing with the transport planes right now. China finally decided to say, okay, here we are. Let's stop, condemning things. Let's do things. And majority of the transport planes are not even from Russia, albeit there's Russian IL-76s and Antonov 124 flying in. But it's Chinese transport aviation delivering whatever they deliver. It's not air defense complexes because Iranians simply do not have time to basically learn the Chinese air defense complexes, which didn't perform that well in during Indo-Pakistani clash. But something else is being delivered. Whatever is being delivered, I don't know. But finally, China is starting to move as what everybody would expect, from China to just go and actively participate in the essentially shaping of the new world, especially militarily. So that's what we know so far. But other than that, United States is not a contender anymore in Europe. It cannot fight war in Europe. The essentially military mythology of the United States have been completely demolished by Russia. And the only thing which is left is what Clausewitz stated: the main object of any war is to compel the enemy to do our will. Russian will is, as we spoke many times before, is to talk to the United States and make the arrangements. Europe is irrelevant. It's existential enemy of Russia, and Russians pretty much speak about it openly. And even Kirill Dmitriev, the special envoy of Vladimir Putin on the negotiations with Mr. Witkov, he posted yesterday a wonderful post with X about Davos. It's a circus. Okay, simple as that.
Andre, you've mentioned the case of Iran, and as you've mentioned, I'm right now in Tehran. But what is going on in terms of the attack? And every time, yesterday, Wall Street Journal reported that they're sending a lot of fighter jets to the region. Aircraft carriers. One of them has arrived. In my opinion, it seems that arrived in the region. They're preparing, and you see the Iranians are preparing. Every time you talk with officials, they're saying that they're preparing everything to fight back to defend Iran.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the military operation, I don't understand it, Andre. I don't see Iran being in a weak position right now, as it was during the initial hours of the attack, Israeli attack on Iran. They were surprised somehow by the
Yeah,
attack.
we know what was
Right
there. Yeah.
now, they're not going to be surprised. This is not going to happen anymore. They tried to manipulate the Iranian society from within with these riots. They couldn't achieve that. I don't know what else can they do. Are they gonna nuke Iran?
No, I mean, there are many people who want to do that to Iran, especially APAC crowd, those nut jobs, and especially bunch of this, what so-called Christian Zionists, the main driving force of the United States being nothing more than extension of Israel. So they would like, because they're stupid, they are very uneducated people, and they are brainwashed. No, it's not that. It's the fact that they have to do something. We know that it was Russia which mediated between Iran and Israel this recently, that there will be no mutual attacks and things of this nature, at least for a while. And that was a very net positive for Iran, because it allows it, and Iranians are now fully, as you correctly stated, aware of what might come. Obviously, one aircraft carrier group it's a joke. They certainly can attack and try to do deal some damage, but it's nothing. In order to fight Iran, United States needs to mobilize. Okay, United States doesn't have means, but what it can do is traditional American, so to speak, military strategy: hurl everything you have at somebody, and you know what basically, essentially wait for the result, if it will bring any result. And obviously we have to understand that Israel still continues to, it manipulates, it's not manipulates, it owns America's foreign policy. And so there is a preparation, but as already have been stated, uh, the only thing they can do is the standoff weapons. That's it. Very few people actually probably want to, in U.S. military and U.S. Air Force or carrier-borne aviation, to get inside the airspace of Iran and deliver some kind of bomb or short-range weaponry, because you immediately will be detected. And so they will try to do what they think they are good at, which they are not. It's called SIAD, suppression of enemy air defense. But Iran is not Iraq, and so there's a lot of diplomatic hustling right now behind the stage, so to speak, behind the curtain. And Russians and Chinese now playing for delaying it as much as possible to prepare Iran. But Iranians, yeah, they proved that they have very decent air defense. and the only way they could do it initially, like last time, was to essentially do the sabotage. That's what they are good at. It wasn't actually the suppression of air defense, which after that started to work. First went out on 70% and then just increased their efficiency as the day unfolded at that time. So, and of course, everybody understands that this time Iran will just basically smash or blow Israel to smithereens if they continue to do what they're doing. So Israel is, and especially American military bases, yeah, they were returning, from what I heard recently, they were returning personnel back to American bases in the region. So, which is a good sign, because obviously the United States doesn't want to risk considering the American air defense, which is not really air defense. You might not as well have it. So they are defenseless there. And so the fact that they return personnel indicates probably that they do not want to attack Iran, and they do all those, how to say, motions, if you wish. And Iran is not Venezuela, okay? Iran is a serious country and it's a serious civilization, and so there is no way that they can send some, Delta Force, which they tried it before. We know how it all ended up, and so. Point is that we have to wait and see. But yes, Iran is getting ready, and Russia and China help big time.
Yeah. Andre, Donald Trump said something during his speech at Davos. When he was talking about Greenland, he somehow mentioned Iceland. He was confusing the two. But we know maybe Iceland is in the background. Maybe they're thinking of Iceland as well, because Iceland has a lot. You know what's so amazing, Andre, to me, that the United States, instead of finding a way to compete, to have a better relationship with other countries, to compete with China, they're trying to, or with the East. The whole East is at war with the United States, as we talk today. And instead of that, they're trying to grab lands from Europeans who were their partners. It's unbelievable.
Well, I mean, you have to understand the intellectual level of current American elites. We see the precipitous decline of the always mediocre, strategic vision in the part of the United States. Much of it is built on the mythology of the omnipotence, while in reality, obviously, United States is good only at fighting, yeah, that stealing, kidnapping the leader of the impotent country like Venezuela, which didn't even react, so it's okay, yeah, sure, there you go. But the reality is, these are all PR primarily issues, but United States cannot fight realistically, but it can use its military political weight, obviously, against such places like Greenland. I mean, hello, 57,000 population, okay, primarily native Inuit people, and as if it's true, evidently Donald Trump is ready to pay $1 million per person to get Greenland into the United States lab. I was wondering, the friend is asking, how can I get the Greenland's residence? I will, so I'm joking, of course. No, I mean, but yeah, I mean, that's the thing, it's not like the imperialism of the 20th century, early or late 19th century, or even middle 19th century with, the cannons, all those cannon boats. And no, it doesn't work like this. And so they have this very outdated idea about the, you know, history in general, because that primarily, if you look attentively of people or at people who write those strategies, they're highly uneducated, highly uncultured people. They live in this world that United States somehow saved the universe. In reality, is United States is the actually newcomer, very inexperienced militarily, and they will be grabbing land. They think that that gets them somewhere. I specifically singled out Greenland because Greenland makes total sense from the, let's put it this way, cynical and, cold hard facts, point of view, that yeah, you want this Arctic shelf despite the fact that United States cannot build a single modern icebreaker. And whatever they tried to do with Finland, it's not enough to operate in Arctic. Somebody has to explain it to Trump and to those people. But nonetheless, you can see at least some logic behind it. The rest of it, Iceland, I don't know. It's yeah, I understand Iceland doesn't have really any kind of armed forces, police maybe, So yeah, that will be easy if they decide to do that. I mean, other than that, Europe, which is obviously relates to both Iceland. Iceland is a considered European country, and and you look attentively at the realm of European realm. It's one imperialist substituting the other, except one thing: Russians kicked out French out of Sahel, so that's why Macron cannot forgive Russians for doing this. So and yeah, it's power politics, and it's also arrangements between three superpowers: United States, Russia, and China. How they will kind of arrange the world, and after that, we might start talking about something which we can term modus vivendi. Not so much as international law, but modus vivendi. And then maybe at some point of time, depending on how the crisis in the United States resolves itself, because United States is a bankrupt country essentially. So we can see after that where we will go with this. But we are in the new world where European influence is next to nothing. And we have, again, three superpowers which sit on the top of the world. United States is declining superpower. Russia is ascending. China is already established itself as the industrial powerhouse, and they are the workshop basically of the world. Together with Southeast Asia, let's not overestimate that Chinese do everything. No, there are very many very large countries like Indonesia, Philippines, things like that, which are participant on this what you can call today international division of labor, but it's not anymore division of labor even. It's somewhat different. Russia is taking care of militarily on this thing, and now you have India also ascending. So it's a complex, in a sense. It seems simple, but in reality, it's a complex architecture, especially the rest of the world, non-Western world. It's very complex dynamics there, and the Western world, that's the other thing. We need to view United States now not really as a Western country. United States is a civilization unto itself. It's like Russia. Yes, somebody stated that Russia is the civilization masquerading as the country. Same goes for the United States. United States is not a European country anymore. It is totally unique civilization with its all huge problems. Make no mistake. But that's what happens, and that's what forms their civilizationally three in reality, even probably four, poles of power. And we'll have to see how it evolves. But I think Russian diplomats will obviously talk about international law, UN charter, but reality is it's going to be based on the modus vivendi and how it's going to be arranged.
Andre, I think what Donald Trump is trying to do with this new concept of, the countries of gathering of peace, and he's bringing these countries all together, and it seems that he's trying to replace UN. He
Yeah,
knows that the UN is not working. That's why he's trying to do this. He's trying to make an alternative to what is happening with what is already happening with BRICS, with SCO, and all of that. He's trying to make a
yeah.
new sort of institution. But after all, looking at what he's doing, do you think he's gonna achieve that? He's gonna
No,
make
no, it's a typical Trump thing. It's a Trump's casino, just like shiny with all those neon lights and selling the fake, uh, uh, basically pirate gold, which is of course not real gold. No, it's all PR. Everybody laughs at it, except that he can get some small country. He actually wants to make money on this. You need to pay the $1 billion or whatever. This is a preposterous idea, essentially. So no, but it's just distraction. It's typical Trump, narcissist, completely out of touch, with the reality. But whatever is going to happen in terms of the arrangement, whatever the institutions will be in place, whatever the BRICS and especially Shanghai Cooperation Organization, which is actually more important than BRICS if you think about it, it's kind of security extension of BRICS. But whatever Shanghai Cooperation Organization decides to play, that will be the way to go. And already institutions are becoming like totally emergent institutions of BRICS and Shanghai Cooperation Organization, including independent financial system. So no matter what Trump does, he can do nothing about it. The only tool United States had, and still they think they have it at his disposal, they have it against Europeans, for example. But they don't have this tool against basically what wrongly called global south. Russia is not global south, but we're talking about BRICS. Let's talk BRICS. Uh, United States was this threat of military power. You cannot go and threaten militarily Russians. Russians will laugh in your face. So same goes for China. They still pretend that they want to fight Chinese, and So, but reality is this is military economic monster. This basically couple, Moscow and Beijing. So it's United States simply doesn't even register there realistically, So and the only thing they can do is to huff and puff, and stomp their chest. But the alternative financial system and alternative political institutions already are emergent. They are essentially already in place. They just developing now, and so Trump's attempt to do this thing is just like ridiculous thing to return something under U.S. control. United States doesn't control the world. Period. It doesn't have resources. It doesn't have this might, which it always claimed but never had. And as the result, again, it was completely dispelled. This mythology. You saw yourself that it's United States has an essentially obsolete military, and especially in terms of the table of organization and equipment. And now they have, United States has to face this reality. It's not premier military power. And even as we already mentioned, yeah, whatever is, single aircraft carrier battle group can do against, Iran. Not much, really. They will get those couple of the Arleigh Burke. Maybe they get another Ticonderoga class. What do you have? 96 plus 96 plus 120. Add them together, roughly, 310 divided by half. 150 tomahawks they can launch. Iran will just shake it off like nothing. So what else they can do? Do the those alpha strikes from you don't have enough. And again, unlike Venezuela, which didn't even fight back, I mean, they just sold their president. Simple as that. Iran can launch anti-shipping missiles, which can reach this carrier battle group very far from, into the Indian Ocean. So there you go. So what are you gonna do? Well, that's what we observe now. This huffing and puffing, moving all those assets. They might then, at some point of time, do some kind of strike, but again, we know what's going to happen. Israel will be beaten into the into utter submission, because no matter what kind of the so-called air defense they try to provide for Israel, it doesn't work. And the rest of it is like this battleship Trump class. It's mad in serious militaries with smirk and ironic laughter. So what can I say? But yeah, Trump works the audience, and his audience, we know what his audience is, and he needs to do it. He has a midterms coming, and not that I mean, for the love of God, I mean, I will never vote Democrat, no matter what. I would rather stay home. it's uniparty. They're just bunch of the different neoliberal, nut jobs from GOP or from Democrats. Democrats more satanic, so because with this woke agenda and all this just ridiculous things. But that's the situation. Trump also has the a burden of the midterms, and he needs to deliver something. What can possibly he can deliver? Greenland. Greenland is the gift, because you have to understand, this is it is huge. I mean, in a sense that, yes, suddenly, and he will say, look at me, look at this. This is my, legacy. I gave you the double, basically your assets in Arctic, which is the indeed crown jewel of our planet, with all those immense riches. And it's not just gas and oil only. There are so many other things, including some ores and things of this nature. So that's gonna make an impression, of course, and nothing wrong with that, So I mean, it's wrong from any point of view. It's obviously a violation of any kind of the international law. It's sheer bullying and sheer imperialism. But it works. It works for the domestic audience, and that's how it will go, probably. I may, of course, be mistaken, but looks like everybody think the same thing. He's gonna get Greenland.